Welcome back, everybody. This is Wings of Wax, and we are still playing Slay the Spire. It is fantastic. I love this game so much right now. Oh boy. Alright, last time, let's see. We ended up picking up a meat on the bone, which would be pretty helpful to be able to combat a lot of these rooms, and if we're at 50% HP, we'll get 12 additional HP back. 50% or less. Sundial will give us an extra 2 energy every time we shuffle our deck 3 times. Letter opener, every time we play 3 skills, deal 5 damage to all enemies. Bronze scales, deal 3 damage as it's thorns for 3. Whenever an enemy attacks us, they take 3, so that's pretty sweet. We have the boot. The boot's not really, I don't think super duper useful for us right now because we don't really have anything that we can fully take advantage of that with. If we get things like Sword Boomerang or Pummel, I could definitely see this being worthwhile, but right now we don't really have anything. We just took the Empty Cage, which removed a Strike and a Defend from our deck, so we only actually have 3 of our starting cards outside of the Bash. And our deck's looking pretty thin. We only have 13 cards in Act 2. That's pretty good. I do like the fact that we have an Immolate, a Carnage, Combust is pretty good too, an upgraded Ghostly Armor, upgraded Shockwave. We have a Feed to try to get some more. If we could try to shoot towards like 100-ish HP, that would be great by the time we hit the final Act 3. I'll be very, very happy if we can do that. Upgraded Wild Strike and an upgraded Bash. Okay, our deck looks pretty good so far. We don't really have like a specific direction, which we didn't really find anything that leads us into a specific direction just yet. We're just like a bunch of good stuff right now, which typically is not good enough to fight the heart, but we can still find some things that potentially lead us down a different direction. I'm not really sure like what exactly we're looking for. I guess like double tap would always be something that I'm looking for. A couple, maybe like 2-ish strength upgrade cards would be great, or maybe if we find like a blockade, barricade, then maybe we can start to lean in that direction too, since we're not really like, we have aggressive cards, but we have a couple of defensive cards too, so we're looking for like a direction to go in, and anything that is just going to be good enough for us to be able to fight the heart. Looks like we're fighting the champion at the end, so it is the knight that you fight, and he has quite a bit of health, deals quite a bit of damage. And also he has like, I think it's like 3 phases. The intro phase. Uh-oh, hang on one sec. Excuse me. This is why you're not allowed downstairs, Missy. The cat is getting into trouble, obviously. So, she likes eating plastic, which we do not want. Alright, so we're still looking to be able to combat some elites here. Is there any like cards we specifically like need to upgrade right away? Like, obviously, Combust and Immolate are things I'm looking at. Shrug It Off Feed's not terrible. Excuse me, you're getting into all the bubble wrap, and I don't appreciate that. I'm down in my office right now, so, which is where all this recording stuff is set up. Let's see. We have 100 gold, so hitting a shop right away would not be super beneficial to us. So, like, this path or this path is probably for the best. Question is, we don't really have any, like, can't hit multiple elites if we end up doing that. That's the biggest issue, which is good and bad. I guess we don't have to hit elites. They're just useful. That's really all it comes down to. And if we go to like this store or go to this store, we probably just remove a card since that's all we're gonna have the mana for, which will just remove like a basic strike from our deck at that point, since we have more offensive cards than defensive cards, and we kind of want it to be a little more well-rounded. That's probably going to be one of our paths here. I'm not opposed to that, since that's the only shops that we actually get offered in this act. Let's do that, or we just save our gold. We're looking for like a direction though, and we potentially could find a direction for like 150-ish gold for a decent card, or probably not be able to afford like a really good relic or anything, but I do kind of like heading up this way because we do get an actual campfire before we hit this elite, which I do appreciate. And then we can still potentially hit this one, which is a campfire after. So as long as we're at a reasonable life total, we can still choose one of these 3 paths to be able to go up and be able to get to that, or we can choose to just divert our path if our life total is too weak against this enemy, this elite. So I think we're only going to be able to hit 1 shop. So I think I'm going to choose this path here. If we had like 200 gold, I think it would be worth it to be able to go to multiple, but unfortunately we don't. So let's just try to deal a bunch of damage this turn. Past turn, he's going to put up, I think, 30 block here. Yeah, 25 block. He has negate, so Shockwave doesn't actually do anything for us. So do we just, like, shrug it off, try to take, like, very little damage, I think, is probably the best play. Combust is not bad, but is that better than going for, like, a Wild Strike or a Twin Strike? I feel like this is going to deal more damage than a Twin Strike in the long run, since he probably has 2 or 3 turns to be able to survive, which if it's 3 turns, this will deal 15 damage, and this will only deal 10 damage. So I do think we actually go for the Wild Strike, though. It's either we go for Immolate here, but I think the Combust plus Wild Strike is going to be more damage than just an Immolate, so this sounds like a reasonable line of play. I like that. We do get a Bash, but the Bash isn't really going to do much. We did get extra energy. Oh, because of the Sundial. Right, right. Awesome. So we actually do get to cast all the cards, which you are dead, so didn't matter. What do we get? Twin Strike, Shrug It Off, and Rage. I do like Rage quite a bit. We are pretty aggressive as it is right now. That kind of leans us more to becoming more aggressive and also gives us another card we want to upgrade. That's the only problem with that. And right now I feel like Immolate's probably priority numero uno for upgrades here. As enemies, typically an Immolate for 21 damage will not kill them. 28 though, they probably will not kill them, but usually it takes like 1 more attack for the weaker enemies to go down after the Immolate. So tough choice. They're all pretty good. I think we just go for another Shrug It Off, though, since we're, like, lacking in the defensive department. And I don't think we have enough attacks to be able to take full advantage of the Rage, so. Unfortunately here, though, we're going to be taking some damage. Carnage is probably better than a Bash here. And then we just go for a Ghostly Armor to prevent some of the damage. Well, we're going to take 7. I think that's worthwhile. So let's just take out the one that's the weakest right now. We could just take the full brunt of the damage and put him down to 7, which means we potentially could kill him with... We don't really have anything that deals 7. So actually, like, Immolate's probably our best draw for next turn. So yeah, I think we just go for the Ghostly Armor here. I could have dealt 10 damage to this guy too, but I don't think that's really worthwhile. We did not draw the Immolate. That's unfortunate. But this will kill this one, so that's at least a start. I think we start with that, yes. From there, do we put up any blocks this turn? I do want to deal him damage. And he's probably going to be around for like 3 turns. So Combust, I think, is going to deal more damage than a Strike. And I still think we should put up a Defend. We're just taking some hits that I don't really want to take here. Is 6 damage really worthwhile? If he puts up the block next turn, that means in the following turn he's going to be trying to escape. But usually he goes for like a buffed attack first, like 15 damage or something like that. If he does. So maybe actually I do just take the 10 damage here. I think it actually is worth it. So he's going to take another 3. Goes down to 35. So this is a big attack. And the following turn he's going to go for a defensive. And then he's going to try to escape. So that's ultimately what's happening here. It is probably best for me to just go for the Immolate and the Shrug It Off. I guess we go for the Shrug It Off first. See what we draw. We draw Carnage. Carnage actually is more damage. So I'm glad that we drew first. He should be dead next turn, so. Awesome. And we did take some damage there, but I think it was worthwhile because those guys are pretty hard to fight against. We already have a pretty thin deck. I'm not sure we actually want a True Grit. If our deck was beefier, I could see us going for a True Grit here, but I actually think the Ghostly Armor is just better for us. Because we can't really take full advantage of the True Grit. Ooh, we get a Curse. I didn't take the True Grit, which is my only concern here. If I take this and I actually get the Curse. I wish it told you what relic you were going to be obtaining. It just says a relic, which means it's not going to be a basic. It could be any relic, basically. It could be a basic, or I think it could be, I believe that's what this means. Or it could be a special relic or a boss relic or something like that. I don't think it's worthwhile, though. I'm not going to take the gamble. It's not worth the risk there. All right, what do we get? We get Spot Weakness. Man, I wish we had enough money to be able to go for this Mayhem. I do really like Mayhem quite a bit. Spot weakness is good. Is it necessary, though? We really don't have anything that fully takes advantage of it. I would say, like, Immolate is probably the only card in our deck that fully takes advantage of it, so I think we are going to pass on that. We just don't have any ways to deal multiple points of damage, so like a Sword Boomerang or like a Pummel or something like that, or even like a Whirlwind, actually, I feel like takes advantage of the spot weakness, but we just don't have anything that does that, so it's a good card. It's just not worthwhile, I feel like. Blood for Blood is not terrible. We have been taking some damage. The issue is it's going to be a slightly dead card for a lot of this. And we have been taking some more block, and this is, I think, if you take unblocked damage, right? Whenever you lose HP. Actually, that works pretty well with the Combust. That's something to consider. See that we just remove a card. If we remove a card, it's probably just going to be a basic strike. That is the weakest card out of our deck here. And then we'd be looking to pick up a card that would replace this strike, like another Twin Strike, another Wild Strike, or something like that. So that way we have some extra, like, 1-mana things to do. I think that's a reasonable enough choice to go for. We don't really need the Cleave. We already have the Immolate. We already have a Shockwave. Feel No Pain is not going to really get any good value out of this deck. So it's either between, like, Blood for Blood, Spot Weakness, or just Card Removal Service. And I think Card Removal Service is just best for us here, let's be honest. Actually, we did just pick up another Ghostly Armor. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right now, compared to our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. Yeah, it's still probably worth it for me to get rid of the Strike here. Strike is really weak. Alright. We're just keeping that thin deck, you know? Yeah, we'd like to go to the question mark. Ooh. This is actually a deck that could definitely dig a Necronomicon, and I think it's worth it because we're about to hit a campfire anyways, and if we can get the Necronomicon, I'll be very happy. What do we get? Nihilre's Codex. At the end of your turn, you may shuffle one of 3 random cards into your draw pile. This is going to be a weird one to play. I can definitely see some mistakes happening with this one, and I think we can't really afford at this moment to upgrade anything. So I do think we actually have to rest since we're about to hit some combats. But that's basically the price we paid for this book here. So we do get Shockwave. Shockwave Twin Strike. I think that's reasonable enough. That's 5 turns where he is vulnerable and weak. That seems worthwhile. I could have used a potion too. Disarm is actually really good against this guy, so yes. Yes, please. We do get the Disarm, so I think I do go for that and go for the Carnage. Unfortunately, that means we can't actually cast a Ghostly Armor this turn. So is it worth the extra damage here? Carnage is really good. We do have 2 2-mana cards coming up next turn, potentially too. Like, we basically get to choose, like, do we want to get rid of a Carnage or do we want to get rid of a Ghostly Armor? If we could cast 1 Ghostly Armor and go for a Wild Strike here, I'm not opposed to that. This just deals quite a bit of damage. That's the only thing. I obviously could go for a Distilled Chaos as well, since we have... If we're going to be getting 3 hits... Oh, that was our discard pile that we checked out. Right. So, actually... It's probably not worth it for us to go for this Distilled Chaos. I was thinking when I opened up this, I thought we were looking at our draw pile. So looks like we're going to be blocking quite a bit next turn, which is good. So I think we actually go for the aggression. Yeah, I think that's worthwhile. Unfortunately, we're losing both Ghostly Armors, but another Carnage. Yeah, that's probably worth it, right? We just want to be super duper aggressive against this guy. And put up blocks when we have the option to, but like right here, we can go for a Shrug It Off and a Carnage. Yes. Battle Trance is great. Sever Soul is also good, and Iron Wave is also good, but having more options, I think, is more beneficial to us right now. Otherwise, I would have probably taken the Iron Wave. I think that would have been slightly more beneficial. I should go for the Shrug It Off first, right? We have all of our cards back in our decks, so yeah, I should go for the Shrug It Off first since I know I'm going to be casting that. Actually, we're going to be casting the Carnage this turn too. So I don't think we actually go for the battle trance. And you are dead on the following. I do not need any of these because you're going to be dead. None of those actually help us, nor are we going to draw them, so it doesn't make sense. Alrighty. 47 HP. We have a disarm, actually. I will take a disarm for our deck. I think that's worthwhile. Thunderclap is not bad, though. But disarm is going to be super duper helpful against bosses as well as like the heart and some elite enemies. There's also birds and stuff like that it's good to take out. We want the option to fight an elite. So let's see how this combat goes here. I like the shockwave and disarm play. Yeah, because that sets us up to be able to deal extra damage over the course of the game and also shuts him down from dealing some damage too. I don't really want any of these, especially if he's going to Snecko Eye us. Like it'll turn this basically into anything that costs mana, and I don't really want that. If he wasn't Snecko Eyeing us, I probably would have taken the anger here. I could put Rupture in our deck because of the Combust, but honestly, none of these really are appeal to me as being beneficial for the actual deck. Well, this is an odd turn. Do we just Combust and Immolate? Yeah, I think that's actually the play, unfortunately. I could defend and Immolate instead, but he's at a full grasp of HP right now. I think we just have to go for this. He is vulnerable, so Dropkick is actually worth it. Blocking is also good though against this enemy. The problem is these all cost 1 mana, and like I'll take like high casting cost cards with the Snecko Eye because you have more chances to be able to have them cost less than what they actually are. But the 1 mana cards are a little more painful because they typically cost more than 1 mana. Man, this book just made this video even longer because now I got to think like every turn. Dropkick is really good though. Yeah, I think we go for the Dropkick. Well, this is a good turn for us. Let's see what Dropkick has to offer first. And Immolate. Well, we can't kill him. So this does cost 0 mana, so we'll just get this out of the way. This also costs 0 mana, so we'll just get this out of the way. Okay, this is what we're working with now. Immolate does not kill him. 31, which then we can just feed. Perfect. Good play, good play. Fairy in a Bottle we definitely want. Which one of these is the worst one? Probably Explosive Potion. I think that's probably the worst one. Ooh, we get a Whirlwind. It's not upgraded though. Do we have anything that like takes priority over upgrading that? We don't really have an option to upgrade either. We're at pretty low life total-ish. I mean, we're okay right now. Do we actually have a campfire coming up anytime soon? We have 1 here and 1 here if we end up fighting this elite, so we potentially could upgrade something right around there. And we might end up just picking up another key piece here instead of actually taking. Depends on what the relic is. If it's a relic that's a game changer, we'll definitely take that. But otherwise, you know, we'll take the key piece instead. Whirlwind is good. I don't think we need really any of these cards. Blood for Blood's probably the only card I would strongly consider here. I think we do take a Blood for Blood. Like we already have a Combust. It's already causing us to lose HP. We are losing HP against all of our enemies anyways. I don't think a Thunderclap is going to be worthwhile. Since we already have an Immolate, I don't think it's worth it for us to pick up a Whirlwind here. So I think Blood for Blood is actually reasonable, though. We are at a healthy enough life total where I feel like we could end up fighting this elite, but we still have the option to go 2 different paths. Potions as rewards from every combat. I mean, we already have full potions, and we're not even like using them. I mean, you could argue that I should be using them, I guess. But I think we're doing okay so far. Yeah, Immolate and Combust sound like reasonable cards to cast here. Unfortunately, we lose Ghostly Armor, but, you know, Worse things have happened. None of these really appeal to me. We don't really have any cards that get exhausted, so Feel No Pain doesn't actually do anything for us. Hemokinesis makes us lose life, which does actually activate Blood for Blood, but I don't think the 1 mana dealing 14 right now is worthwhile. I think we have enough, like, damaged cards and a non-upgrade armaments. I don't think it's worthwhile, so. Yeah, unfortunately, the Combust does not trigger well with Centennial Puzzle, but okay, oh well. Obviously, going for a bash or a disarm doesn't really do anything for us, so I think like Ghostly Armor here and then just like Carnage this guy is probably our best play. We do get an uppercut, but an uppercut doesn't do anything against this guy. So do we take like the Pummel here? I'm not opposed to it. It is 1 mana deal 8. And we are kind of lacking in the 1 mana damage cards. Although it seems like majority of our turns are going to be like, you know, cast a 2 mana deal damage card plus a 1 mana defend card. That's what it feels like most of our turns are going to be. For instance, I mean, I guess Shockwave doesn't really count because we're probably not going to cast Shockwave. So, since Uppercut's not going to do anything against this guy, do we take the Pummel? You know, I think we do actually. We could use an extra damage source here. We did draw the Pummel. Okay. Well, we can Wild Strike him. We can't really Shockwave because he has 3 artifacts on him. So, unfortunately, we're just gonna have to deal a bunch of damage, and we're never gonna be able to do this. So I think we just use it. Disarm is not really worthwhile. Metallicize, it's a little too late to the party. I guess if we take anything, it's Ghostly Armor. So, I mean, like, I don't think it's going to matter, but we have a Ghostly Armor now. So, because he's going to be dead right here. Okay. Flex Potion. Flex Potion is probably not as good as just a regular Strength Potion over the course of the game. Sword Boomerang or Iron Wave. It is an upgraded Sword Boomerang, too. I don't really have any Strength, though, to take advantage of it. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it to go for a Sword Boomerang here, but it might be worth it to go for the Iron Wave. It is somewhat weak, but the fact that it's an offensive and defensive card all in one, I feel like it's worthwhile. We're at 53 HP. Ugh, and we get a really crappy... Actually, no, we actually got a really good card out of it. We got Flame Barrier. I can't even complain. Yeah, we ended up getting Flame Barrier. It would have been really nice to get, like, Bottle Lightning. I do like the Bottle relics to be able to add cards to your starting hand. But yeah, Flame Barrier is actually reasonable for us here. So let's go for that. We do have enough HP, I think, to warrant actually fighting this. Plus, we also have, you know, Fairy in a Bottle just in case. Okay, so do we go for the Shockwave first? I think we do. That's even just stronger than going for a bash, just because it does inevitably kill these guys. So this will deal 14, I believe. I didn't see. Yeah, 14. Okay. So we could just take this guy out and take 0 damage this turn. I think that's worthwhile. Which means probably next turn we're going to be trying to go for the other little guy. Another Blood for Blood. Nobody's attacking this turn, so we're not going to be able to activate that by the time it probably swings around for 1 or 0 mana. And Berserk and Limit Break don't really do too much for us. Berserk would be nice, but the problem is we're going to be vulnerable, and we'd be vulnerable for 2 turns. So I actually don't think we take that. I don't think we're going to have the option to be able to be vulnerable for 2 turns. It's just too much damage that we're going to be taking. We do, however, have an Immolate. Yeah, I think we still Immolate this. Just because it actually puts damage on the mob boss to the gremlin leader. Unfortunately, we're going to be taking some damage, though. I could go for a Distilled Potion. There is a lot of defensive cards here. If I do it, I would do it after I do an Immolate, because then this guy would be dead, because if we actually cast Disarm, we want it to hit the mob boss. That's reasonable. So yeah, I think we do Distilled Potion here. Nice. Nice and nice. That worked out. So he's going to deal us 12. We can block 10 this turn. Is that better than a Combust? He's at almost half health. And he is disarmed. Is it worth taking 7 damage, which would be 8 damage because of combust, and the combust would help us take out more of the smaller enemies? Man, that's a tough choice. Like, he has probably 3 turns until he's actually dead. I think we just go for a defend here. Because I think we're just going to keep targeting him. Yeah, I think seeing red is actually reasonable. But flame barrier also is good. We do have flame barrier and immolates, though, already in our discard pile. And by the time, like, the enemies roll, he summons his mobs, which won't be this turn, which will be the next turn. We potentially could just find an immolate or a flame barrier anyways for that. So I think just taking a seeing red to be able to cast more cards in a single turn is just more beneficial for us. So he's going to be casting. What are we doing? What are we doing? I could just seeing red here, go for blood, and Iron Wave. I think that's reasonable enough here. Like, that's really the only choices that I have. Unfortunately, we lose our ghostly armor for doing this, but I think all in all, just putting some more pressure on him is more beneficial to us in the long run. Bludgeon is going to help us be able to just kill him. So yes, I will put a bludgeon into our deck. Do we have enough to kill you is the question. We have 14. 14 makes 39. 39 plus combust actually does lethal you. So we take 1 for that. That sounds reasonable enough for me. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, retreat, run! Ah! Alright, perfect. We got Dreamcatcher, which is whenever you rest, you may add a card to your deck, so it'll give us more choices, which means we actually want to hit more rest stops. We do get offered Reaper or Clothesline. Clothesline are they're both reasonable. Interesting. We already have a Disarm, which is kind of like a Weaken, and we already have Shockwave, which is more kind of like a Weaken as well. And a second AoE is not terrible. Obviously, we already have like Combust. I guess you can call that an AoE too. It technically is. But I do think Reaper is reasonable enough for us to be able to manage our life total a bit more. I do like Clothesline, though. I've been coming around to this card. At first, it was like the weakest of the 2-mana cards for damage cards, I should say, for the Ironclad. But I've been slowly coming around to it because the weak is actually really relevant. Being able to have your opponent deal 25% less damage, especially against like the Heart. If it's attacking for 4 times 12 or whatever, it comes down to 3 times 12, which is 12 damage it reduces, but also deals 12 damage. I think Reaper is just better for us here, though. We get another Campfire. I could just take the Recall here. Is there any cards in particular that I need to upgrade? Obviously, Flame Barrier and Reaper are both good upgraded cards. What does this one look like upgraded? Oh, it just costs 3 and it deals more damage. Wow, that's actually reasonable. Oh my god. So Blood for Blood, Flame Barrier, Reaper, and Iron Wave are all cards that I would strongly consider. I think I actually would take Reaper upgrade over the Immolate. But Flame Barrier upgrade and Blood for Blood are probably the 2 biggest ones, it looks like, here that would get upgraded. I think we can do that later, though. I think we can go for the Recall here. Might as well go for the key and just get it out of the way. And let's just try to take, no damage here. We do have... Let's see... Immolate and Ghostly Armor is pretty good. That deals the most amount of damage. I could Immolate and Combust, but then we're going to take 10 damage from this, 11 damage from this. I think we just go for Immolate and Ghostly Armor. I don't think it's worth it for us to go for the Flame Barrier, because not both enemies, one of them is attacking, one of them is not. If they were both attacking, I probably would consider the Flame Barrier here. Evolve is not worth it. Flame Breathing is not worth it. We don't have any status or curse cards to fully take advantage. We have Burn, which obviously is a status, but it's not enough to be able to warrant both of those. But Sword Boomerang, I don't think you're worth it either, so we don't really have any strength upgrades, so I think we'll pass on that. We did get the Reaper, which is probably worth it, right? I think it is. Otherwise, can we kill you? Put 10 damage on you, make this 15. That's not enough. Yeah, so it's better for us to just go for like the Ghostly Armor Reaper here. It's too bad, because I really did want to be able to apply like a bash or be able to get the feed going. Oh, Carnage or a Twin Strike, though. Those are both reasonable choices. We do have a lot of 2-mana cards, though, already. So I think we just take his Twin Strike here. We have a lot of 2-mana cards right now, so. We cannot kill you. That's unfortunate. Let's go for the Shrug It Off and see what we get. Shockwave. So Shockwave does make it so that way they're vulnerable, and they will take, and they'll be weak too. So that sounds worth it for a Hex, or for a Dazed rather. Ooh, Battle Trance. Yeah, that seems strictly better than an Uppercut right here anyways, so. Because we already have, like I said, we already have a lot of 2-mana stuff to do. And we only have 3 mana to be able to work with every turn. Let's go for the Battle Trance, see what we get. We get Carnage, we get Immolate. Man. Hopefully we can cast this feed on like this guy when we get him down. Because right here, we don't really have much. Immolate's probably still the best choice. And then I think we just like defend this turn. Yeah, that sounds reasonable enough. We could just apply more pressure, but I'm trying to prevent damage if I can help it. We actually have 3 mana. Why do we... Wait, what? We have Sundial. That's what happened. Okay. So we actually potentially could kill you. Is that right? No, it looks like we were just shy. I mean, we're definitely going to be using the Carnage here. Nope, the Wild Strike actually does kill it. And I don't think it's worth us taking 7 damage to try to find a feed, so... We don't really have anything that takes advantage of any of these. Like, we already have enough AoE. We don't really need strength upgrades, and Sever Soul is fine, but we already have so many 2-mana things to do and not enough mana to be able to use them all, so. Let's Smith. What would we like? Flame Barrier is probably just better than going for the Reaper. I don't know. We're pretty weak when it comes to, like, defensive cards. That's what I've noticed. And I want like our 2-mana cards to be super high impactful. And I feel like then we'll, like next couple of upgrades we'll go for the Blood for Blood and the Reaper. Maybe not in that order, but I keep coming back to like always wanting an upgraded Flame Barrier. It's just so good. Being able to deal 6 damage to an enemy and gain 16 block, like that's incredibly powerful. You're basically getting a strike and 2 upgraded defends out of that card for 2 mana, and that's assuming your opponent's only attacking once and you're only having 1 opponent attack. So yeah, let's start with a Disarm, and do we just Immolate? I think we do. Deals the most amount of damage. See that, or we could just go for like Wild Strike and Ghostly Armor to make sure we always have that Ghostly Armor in our deck. We still have an upgraded Ghostly Armor, and we still have another Shrug It Off, plus we have the Flame Barrier. We can afford to get rid of that. I should have popped this. Which I'm just going to do this now before I continue to go down and make terrible plays. I do think that Twin Strike is worthwhile. Let's go for that. So we do have Ghostly Armor to be able to protect us for a turn. I like that. He's not going to be using, or this is only unblocked damage. And now that I think about it, I was about to like justify Reaper, and I'm like, wait a minute, there was a catch to this card. It's only going to heal you for unblocked damage. That's what it is. So I do think going for Combust is actually worthwhile then. And we're never going to be able to feed him. So I'm wondering if we just get rid of this right now to make room for like better draws down the future, because I do want to get rid of these cards because they're not going to be helpful. So I think I just get rid of this now, because that would be a pipe dream to actually be able to get the feed going on him for the final blow. That's just way too strong of a pipe dream. True Grit is not terrible. All of our cards though are really good, and our deck is pretty thin. Like what are we looking to get rid of? Like 2 defends and like I don't know. I don't think any of this is really worthwhile, to be honest with you. I think we just skip here. Like, we've already thinned out our deck quite a bit. We do have Shockwave, and we have Carnage. Is it worth getting rid of this Carnage? Ugh. Because Shockwave does set up quite a bit of damage over the next 5 turns and prevents him from dealing even more damage over the next 5 turns. I think it's worth it. As much as I love Carnage, I don't think it's worthwhile here. Ooh. Fiendfire is good, but it's one of those cards that we're not only going to want late in the game, so I think we just take Battle Trance here. And I'm always going to be happy to draw Battle Trance, so... What do we get? Let's go for the Battle Trance. See what else we get. We want to wait until that costs a bit less, I think, before we start actually being able to use it. Is that correct? I mean, we can just go for, like, a Twin Strike and be able to go for this. That would deal more damage than what? Like, we're definitely going for Twin Strike. I don't think we're casting Immolate this turn. Because we just deal more damage with Twin Strikes, I believe. Yes. Although technically no. And I think we're just going to Iron Wave. Yeah, we're just going to wait for that. A second Immolate, a Sever Soul. We don't really have anything that we want here, to be completely honest. We don't need this. Let's pass. We already got enough 2-mana things to do. Like I said. He's not attacking again. Come on. Help me out, bro. Help me out. Yeah, we have to cast that so I can keep it. Not looking so good. Alright, we have Impervious and Flame Barrier. He's going to start getting super duper aggressive. I'm almost thinking, like, Impervious might just be the best thing, because he doesn't do very many. He just does, like, mostly large attacks, not, like, many small attacks. So I think Impervious actually is worthwhile to take here. Which, unfortunately, it's not worth it to cast here. But that's fine. We still have, like, Bash to be able to set up some more vulnerable on him for the next couple of turns. And we'll just go for the Ghostly Armor to make sure we can prevent all the damage that's being dealt to us. We do get Double Tap. I will 100% take Double Tap. Not even close for a choice there. We do have a 0-mana Blood for Blood. Woo! I like it. Do we actually need to go for the Battle Trance? It's not necessary, but I guess finding something to prevent us from taking a little bit more damage would be nice. We get Double Tap. Yes, actually, that is insane. That is actually insane for us. Let's go for the Double Tap on the Blood for Blood. And I would like to prevent damage if I can help it this turn. So definitely Iron Wave. Unfortunately, it's only 3 blocks. So do we just take the brunt of this 16 damage and just apply as much pressure as possible? I think that's actually correct. We could go for a Reaper instead. This would be the turn for it. But really not, like, getting so much value out of that. The issue is, like, we're, like, never going to get value out of this. And it just becomes a dead card every single time we draw it. So, like, there's a reason. There's this pretty significant reasoning behind actually just casting this now. So we can just try to get rid of it. I just don't know if it's worth, like, sacrificing, like, this much damage on him. And I don't think it is. I think it's just better to just keep applying all this pressure. We get another Battle Trance. Actually, I think we're just seeing red here. Like I said, we're bottlenecked on mana. Yeah, let's see what we draw. We get a Flame Barrier. That doesn't help us. Looks like we're just immolating. We don't really have very many strength bonuses. We have 2. Heavy Blade is 2 mana, and I don't think it's worthwhile. We do have a bunch of vulnerable on him, so I do think Dropkick will actually get some value. You've done it. He's removing everything, which means now we got to start worrying. Yeah, Battle Trance, please. Shrug it off, yeah. Otherwise, we're taking 32 damage. So we're not drawing, obviously, but I think that's still worthwhile to try to prevent some of this damage that's going to be dealt to us. Do we defend over the Twin Strike? Twin Strike's only going to deal 9 damage to you. Yeah, I think it's still worth the defend here. Oh my god, we still have 2 mana! Oh no! So we just missed out on... we didn't miss out on much, actually, looking at it, but would have been nice. A Reckless Charge is not terrible. We are filling our deck, though, with a bunch of just crap. We only have 3 crap cards, though. So I'm pretty sure these all get exiled. The wounds don't, but... Daze, I think, is actually worthwhile, though. We're just looking for more things to cast. I didn't realize that Sundial popped off that turn. That's on me. That is on me. Yeah. So we're just dealing damage. That's the name of the game. So none of these is really super duper worthwhile. Like Rampage would have been good, but I think we're kind of like past that point where it would be good. We need Bash to be able to reapply. We do get double tap Bash here. Taking 24 damage in order to lay that down, though. Your next attack is played twice. So it just does say this turn. Okay. I've had it actually where it carried over for a turn. Maybe that was just a glitch in the game, because I know I definitely had that happen before. So I don't know what happened, the reason why that happened, but maybe it's like when it's upgraded or something, it loses that. I don't know. We do really need to apply the vulnerable damage, though. Oh, but we could prevent all the damage being dealt to us this turn. Man, that's a lot. We do have Fairy in a bottle, though, so I think it's worth it to like risk this. I think it's necessary, too. None of these really do anything for us. Sever Soul is good to be able to take out like the burns and the wounds, but I unfortunately would get rid of like a lot of defensive cards too, because it does cost 2 mana. We don't have enough mana to be able to get rid of the other defensive cards we want to keep before we can actually cast Sever Soul. So yeah, none of this. Take 24. Now we're going to take way too much damage, but we should just barely survive. So, and does it matter? This is going to be... He's going to attack us once. We're going to be dead. We're going to die and then take another 18. So we're going to be at like 10-ish health, something like that. And this deals the most amount of damage. So yeah, we have to just try to deal him as much damage as possible. It is way too late for any of this stuff. So 18 makes us dead. We're at 7. Okay. Let's shrug it off, see what we draw. We draw Blood for Blood. Well, we know we're going to be casting that, 100%. We definitely know we're going to be casting Ghostly Armor, and we can Seeing Red and play both these cards, so I don't see why not, since he's very, very close to being dead. And we prevent all the damage being dealt to us. He takes another 5 here. We're past this point. I guess Seeing Red is probably like the choice, let's be fair. Alright, 18 damage. We got this. It was close. We got him, though. It took all of our potions, but we got him. Nice. Probably could have made some better optimal choices. Like, we're definitely gonna make mistakes with this Nilry's Codex. We're 100% gonna make mistakes with that. Offering's a pretty good card. I think Impervious, though, is going to be just better suited for us. Be able to put up some good amount of blocks. It does cost 2 mana, though, so that is part of the issue. I'm hoping we can pick up a Relic here that does give us some extra mana. But I do think Impervious is just better than a second Reaper. Offering is good, though, but I do think that Impervious is just better for us here. Ooh, we get Snecko Eye. Oh boy. Oh boy. We don't have any 3 casting cost cards. We have a bunch of 2s, though. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess you can count that. 5, 6, 7 cards out of 20. That's a large number. And I don't think I'm going to be taking Runic Dome because we can no longer see enemy intents. I'm not ready for that yet. Runic Pyramid is good, but the problem is we're bottlenecked on mana, so we're just going to like clog up our hand. So I actually think we take Snecko Eye. I've been coming around to this relic lately on my own private runs whenever I have time at night, right before I go to bed or something. And I have been making Snecko Eye work. But basically, if we take Snecko Eye, that means we take all like the 2 and 3 mana cards for like forever. Because we want them to cast 1 and 0 mana. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Snecko Eye. Yeah, if you have Runic Pyramid and Snecko Eye, you just like lose because you just fill up your hand with all these 3 cast and cost cards that you'll never cast. So yeah, so we just took Snecko Eye. This is going to be an interesting run. A very interesting run. Oh boy. We have a relatively thin deck, and if we fill it with cards, we're going to want, like I said, 2 and 3 mana cards that do a reasonable amount of stuff. And actually, we can take 2 and 3 mana cards from Nilree's Codex. So, yeah. We don't really want any 0 and 1 mana cards anymore that do that don't impact enough of the game, because they're probably not going to cost 0 and 1 mana anymore. Anyways, that's going to do it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It was a little bit longer than I liked, but that's just because of this book here, the Codex. We did pick up some pretty good relics, though, I got to say, along the way. Other than Snecko's Eye is going to be interesting. I am excited to see where this goes. And I've seen some other people have some success with it, and I'm interested to see if we can find some similar success with it. But yeah, we're basically just praying to the RNG gods with Snecko Eye, but I think it's worthwhile if we can find more like 2 and 3 mana cards to pick up that are good. So I'm glad we picked up that Impervious, because we needed something like that. All right, well, make sure you guys do something positive today. Do something that makes yourself feel good. That's all I got for you. Till next time, be good, everybody. Good luck, and grind on.